Hello, welcome to Explore Ogbomoso Media. And this April, we are diving deep into education. And I am thrilled to have a special guest in the studio with me today, in person of Rev Niyi Adebayo, the Executive Director at Zoe Group of Schools and the lead pastor at True Worshipper. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to have you here with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Can you just say something before we move on?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a nice place you have around here, and the caption of your outfit. It's so challenging. Explore Ogbomoso. I like that so very much. So it's good to be here.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So let's dive in straight away, sir.
All right.
So, sir, what inspired you to commit to building an educational institution with excellence like Zoe Group of Schools in Ogbomoso?
Yeah, well, I think the emphasis in your statement is in Ogbomoso because there are quite a number of schools out there. Each person is committed to different mission. But then I grew up in Ogbomoso, and I'm a son of the soil.
Oh.
And while I was growing up, I got to know some fantastic private schools. But then we also knew that some of the owners were gradually aging, and there was going to be that gap. And when I looked around, I saw that one thing seems to be lacking in Ogbomoso. We had this education where people go to read and write, learn to speak, but that private school that will look beyond the ability to read and write and develop skills and potential was not in place as at the time we started. So we decided to say, okay, let us float a private school that will not only teach the children to read and write, but also develop their ability, their cognitive abilities, their intellectual abilities, their vocational abilities, their skills and their talents. And so that was how we set out from the beginning, that intellectually they'll be brilliant, but at the same time, we'll be able to develop their skills. And now when I looked around, I saw that things like that were not in Ogbomoso. And I felt, look, there is no better place to start. Ogbomoso has the population, and Ogbomoso is in need of something like this. Then let's start from here.
Wow. That's nice, sir. Now, sir, let's talk about the Jacob Adebayo Afolayanka Resource ICT Center. Now, sir, it is one of the biggest privately owned CBC centers in Nigeria. So what informed that decision to establish such a facility? The emphasis now in Ogbomoso. Why not in Lagos? Why not in Abuja? Like in Ogbomoso.
If you think in terms of economic value, patronages and all that, you will not want to put such a facility of that magnitude in Ogbomoso. But then I am so optimistic about the development of Ogbomoso. I am so optimistic about the emancipation of Ogbomoso along all sectors, education-wise, in the area of industrialization, name it. So now, when this was coming up in my mind, the first thing I discovered was that there was not such a center that was sufficient to accommodate our JAARC students, the students who were writing JAARC and all. Now, all my children wrote JAARC outside of Ogbomoso. I had to go there, spend time with them before we could come back. And a year ahead of the time we were going to come up with JAARC, which we call Jacob Adebayo Afolayanka. Now, some of our students from Ogbomoso were traveling to write exams. They were involved in an accident and it was fatal. So since that time I had it in mind that, look, how can a city be this big? The second largest city by population in Oyo State, the second largest city by landmass in the entire Nigeria. Now, how will a city of this kind of size and population lack resources like this? We have to go to Oyo, go to Ishai. They should look up to us, not the other way around. So those were some of the things that prompted me that, look, if God gives me the opportunity and resources to be able to do this, it has to be here. I know we will spend in flood and make the money in drops. But then we know that there will be impact on the community, people appreciate it, and in due time we believe that it will come out economically too.
Wow. So it brings me to this question. What are some of the major challenges you faced in building and sustaining a standard school system?
Wow. The greatest of such is the understanding of the people, of some of the stakeholders. Because when you have an idea, it's coming with a price, it's coming with a cost. But then people didn't know the difference between one private school and another. They will tell you that one is collecting 5,000 per term. So you're collecting 50,000. You know that kind of a thing. Well, what is it that you want to offer? Is it more than A for Apple, whatever thing they used to call it? So we faced that. Some people are so myopic and they did not want any deviation from the usual. They didn't. So they just wanted the status quo to be maintained, doing the same thing the same way, expecting a different result. So initially we had that. So that was why when we started, we had only 17 people enrolled in our school. And out of the 17, only 13 graduated. You understand? So, but then as time went on, we began to discover that people started developing understanding. They knew that, look, these people are up to something and they want to offer. The second challenge is the challenge of funding. Of course, when you go to approach big financial institutions and say, I need so much money, and I'm not taking it to Lagos, not Bodakot, Abuja, I'm taking it to Ogbomoso. They said, what? They will simply tell you Ogbomoso is not a happening city. That's what we keep hearing. But right about now, Ogbomoso is breaking forth into limelight by the grace of God, just with the presence of our new Oba, and there's some other Obas too who are also doing their bit, and some other individuals. So we face the challenge of adequate funding. It's challenging to use a short-term fund to do a long-term project. If you build classroom, 20-room classroom, you can't make the money within 2 years. You can't make the money within 3 years. And the bank will want you to pay back in 1 year. So it's here, access to very friendly capital is very challenging. So among others, those are some of the challenges that we faced when we were starting.
So sir, do you now see Ogbomoso becoming a major hub for educational infrastructure in the near future?
Yes, and yes. Yes, because what we are doing, some other people are doing something similar. Some people are even thinking of doing something better. So when it only means that somebody should break the yoke, somebody should just make the move and pave way for others to come. So I see many other people coming with different ideas that will revolutionize the face of education and the entire education sector in this land. So in the next couple of years, don't be surprised when you see Ogbomoso people and some other people from Port Harcourt, from this place, from Lagos, bringing their children to say, look, we hear of what is happening here. I want our children to be here. The environment is kind of peaceful, and the people are so blessed. If you go to our school today, we have students from Port Harcourt. We have two of them from Ekiti. We have from different places like that. So some other people are also coming up with better ideas or similar ideas. So in the next couple of years, Ogbomoso will be on a we attract a global attention in education. Wow. I strongly believe it.
Yeah. Ogbomoso is getting there.
Yeah.
We are there already.
Honestly, we are nearing it. Because why I said it, if you listen to Kabisi, the son of Ogbomoso talk, everywhere he addresses people during his town hall meeting, he talks first about education. Yes, sir. He will emphasize education, spends a lot of time on that, talking to people, and some other people are also encouraging. So in the next couple of years, we will get to a stage that some other bigger cities will be envying us. Yeah. And look at the researches that are happening. Look at Lautech. Lautech has been the best teaching university for many years. Yes, sir. You understand my point? And look at the number of students that were matriculated at the Federal Polytechnic recently, over 700. In some other polytechnics, at times it could take them 3, 4, 5, 6 years to get to that kind of level. So the awareness is being created, and honestly, the city is, the cloud is heavy.
Wow, that's good to know, sir. So from your perspective, so what makes Ogbomoso a unique environment for education?
Yeah, Ogbomoso people, places, we here in Ogbomoso, we place a huge value on education. Honestly, we met it like that. And that's one of the reasons where one of the foremost professors in the whole of Africa was produced from Ogbomoso.
Wow.
You understand, late Professor N.D. Oyerede. Now, possibly that was one of the reasons why we have the first indigenous degree awarding institution in Nigeria. Here, the Nigeria Baptist Theological Seminary. So you can name it like that. So Ogbomoso people seem to have enough attention, very, very serious attention to education. Even when the parents are not educated, they don't care what it takes them to send their children to school. Some of the parents who come to pay, at times when I meet with them, I shake my head. Some of them are selling puff-puff, some of them are selling sober drink, some little things, and they're selling their children to school. They will say, please let me take this 2,000 naira, this is what I have today. Let me take this 5,000 naira, this is what I have today. So for parents like that, they open separate book for them because they are paying by the capacity they have. So that's to tell you how much of education they value it. So that's why in the next couple of years, and it's already happening, Ogbomoso is becoming a hub of education. And look at professors from, many Ogbomoso sons and daughters who are in the field of academics are doing well in different places. I've met some of them in Europe, I've met them in South Africa, I met them in places like that, and they are doing well. They're doing well there.
Wow. Thank you, sir. And there was this discussion that was held during the Ogbomoso Education Summit.
Yeah.
And then the question is, what conversations do you now think stakeholders still need to have, or they need to be having, about education in Ogbomoso?
One, data collection. As we speak, we cannot accurately say these are the numbers of private schools we have, public schools we have, secondary schools and primary schools we have. Not to talk of the number of pupils. If you do not have this data, it becomes very difficult for you to plan. You plan based on population. You understand? It's important, and it is very, very essential for the people. Incidentally, I'm one of them. Like that education summit, I was the chairman of it. So it's one of the things we should look at, areas we should look at, is to have correct data. How many primary pupils do we have in Ogbomoso, the entire Ogbomoso land? How many secondary school pupils? Which ones are private? Even the privates need to be grouped. The mega schools, the ones that are registered, the ones that are not registered with the government and all that. Now that data is very important. And remember, the next to data is the place of infrastructure. We need to talk about infrastructure. You go around, you see many schools dilapidated. They are just, I have some pictures on my phone about dilapidated schools. You will never think that they are schools in this century, and they're within Ogbomoso, not even in the village. Within the Ogbomoso metropolis, Ogbomoso city. So we need to sit down and talk about infrastructure. If we want the students to learn, under which condition? Rain is dropping over their heads and all that. So the teachers still not safe. So things like that, snakes are pursuing some of them and in the classroom. So we really need to sit down and discuss the infrastructural upgrade of our public schools. Very important. And to set a minimum standard. The third is to look at the new areas that have evolved over the years that have not been served. Because we still have places where children will trek about 2 kilometers or more before they get to school. Because that's the nearest school to them. It's not good in these days of insecurity. So we need to talk about how we reach those new areas and make sure that schools spread to places where the development is taking place.
Wow.
So I think among others, we need to talk about, and of course, talk about the remuneration and encouragement of the umpires and the teachers. Some of them are badly remunerated. Salary is not remuneration. We need to think about something, talk about something to do to make them happy on the job.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You really answered the question I was really about to ask, because the question I wanted to ask was the opportunities that investors or stakeholders should begin to look into. Like what you mentioned, they should look into infrastructure because they are investing in students. Also, they should look into paying teachers higher salaries because they are the ones that are building these young ones.
Exactly.
Yes, I think.
And also look into digitalization.
Okay.
The investors should look more critically into digitalization. There are a couple of schools, 90% of schools we have in the entire 5 local government do not have a single laptop. And you want the children to learn digital education. So that's not happening.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So my next question is, what advice would you give to young educators or school owners who want to build impactful institutions in Ogbomoso?
Yeah, to build impactful institutions in Ogbomoso, number one, you have to be clear with your vision. Because it is the vision that will drive you. It's the vision that will drive you. You have to be clear with your vision. What is it? Nobody can do everything. You understand? Like me now, we first the area of digital education and to make it affordable to children. Then 2, we also wanted to make the schools very close, to get the school closer to the parents and to the children. So I can't do everything. So each individual entering into education to find out what are my visions. And number 2, they should also think of how to, at least, even if you are using only 5 classrooms, make them neat and very, very accommodating. You understand my point? Very important. And get teachers and train them. Here we just hire teachers. They can some schools teachers will work for about 5-10 years and there's no training. But you've got to understand, organize training for the teachers again and again. They learn, they unlearn, you understand. It's one of the burdens that is on the leadership of the school. So anybody coming in should just come in to do it better. You understand? And AI has made every other thing easy. Things that drive people away from teaching, one of it is writing of lesson plan and note of lesson. You say, hey, I'm going to teach my basic 5 and I'm going to teach about 8 subjects. I'm going to write notes of lesson. But we have AI now. We have Korean AI. We have different kinds of AI that helps you to form your notes. And they're not less effective. You understand? They're also very good. So when we are coming here, we should deploy more of technology. People that are coming here now should deploy more of technology. We cannot teach children in digital dispensation with analog methods and mentality. It's not going to work.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So that brings me to my very last question. So what should students in Ogbomoso focus on today to prepare for the future?
Wow. Let me say that first, character overhauling. We have character deficiency. Teachers in some schools no longer punish those children because they can harm them. Most of them are high on drug before coming to school. Some of them think they are here in the public sector. I still saw one last time and I called him and said, come, which school do you attend? He says, so school. And you're going to school like this? He said, oh, sorry, one man. No, oh, that's all the students. I said, what class are you saying? SS1. SS1. I said, God. So we need to really look in the direction of character overhauling. Let us not send to the community brilliant thugs. You understand? They speak good English, but they're thugs. They're rogues. You understand? We really need to work more on character overhauling. Very important. And also, like I will say it again, we also teach to make them employers of labor. So that is why it is important. The government has mandated it now that trade exam vocation is very compulsory. We started that from day one. You have to pick, you graduate with 2 certificates. You have to pick which, you and your parents will have to sit down. Some people will pick barbing, some fashion designing and all that. I think we should train more so that we just stop training people to start looking for a job, or train them to be job creators. And the third, to really deploy technology. Technology is getting wider by the day, and education should take advantage of it. The government itself, who is the biggest empire, should also look in that direction. You understand? In that direction to assist school owners, either public or private, to see that some of these things, because it is expensive to do all of these things I'm talking about, but to make sure that one way or the other, it is affordable.
Wow. Thank you very, 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 very much, sir.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today at Explore Ogbomoso Media. Huge thanks to our guest today for sharing amazing insights on education. So stay tuned at Explore Ogbomoso Media. Bye-bye.